School is about to start and cell phone bans are coming to Canadian classrooms. British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba and Ontario all implementing different policies with details varying from province to province. We'll get into that shortly, but first, let's bring psychologist Jay Olson into the conversation for some insight. Thanks for joining us, Jay.
Thank you for having me.
The bans aim to cut down on distractions, promote safe social media use. You've actually studied smartphone addiction. What's your take on this?
These bans, I'd say that they're a move in the right direction right now. We don't have a lot of evidence right now showing the kind of long-term effects of these bans, but the early studies that we have so far show that this can be positive. It can potentially improve grades, have people exercise more. So you see more kids playing outside during recess. And so I think it'll be a positive thing overall.
And the policies vary across the country. In BC, School Board Code of Conducts must detail how and when devices can be used. Alberta's policy requires school authorities to ban cell phone use during instructional hours. They're also banning access to social media on school devices. Saskatchewan's policy says students up to grade 12 will not be allowed to use cell phones during class time, but grades 9 to 12 teachers can seek exemptions for teaching purposes. And in early August, Manitoba announced it will follow suit. There will be a ban for students from kindergarten to grade 8, while those in high school will be restricted from using their devices during class time, but are free to use them during breaks and lunch. Is there a right or wrong way to implement this?
We don't know just yet. One thing that researchers have suggested is that having more of a blanket ban may be more effective. So if students in class see some students not complying and using their phones, then they may feel this fear of missing out, or this FOMO that seems to drive lots of smartphone use and nudges people to kind of not comply in that way. And so I think a blanket ban that's enforced well will be the ideal, but probably within about a year, we'll know exactly what works and what does not work after this is all rolled out.
Okay. In Ontario, phones must be off and out of sight during class or risk being confiscated. But what about the students that might have anxiety or parents that feel more comfortable having a way to contact their children throughout the day?
So there's some ways of solving this, like having a dumb phone, as they call it. So not one of these smartphones. And what we find from our research is that when you tell people to use their phone less, usually there's a short period where they're feeling a little bit more anxious and fretful. They have to change their habits a bit. Though we do find from our studies that people generally like this, and they find themselves with more free time, find themselves exercising more, studying more, socializing more. And so there will be this adjustment period, but I think it will be positive.
We mentioned anxiety. Do you think parents and students are going into the school year with some anxiety?
Yes, we definitely see high rates of anxiety and depression among youth, and these rates have been climbing. Some people point to social media and smartphones as a potential cause of this, but we don't know exactly how much of this is due to smartphones. But I think that researchers would generally agree that cutting down on phone use will be positive.
Any tips on how to cope with back-to-school anxiety?
Maybe my suggestion, say for parents, would be to remind their kids that things get better. Usually changing habits is hard, and we know that lots of our smartphone use is very automatic. It's not something that we're often consciously choosing. It's just we just grab our phone whenever we're bored or when we feel stressed. And so knowing that there will be this adjustment period, and then as habits change, the stress will drop as well. So just reminding them of that.
And for those of you watching, we hope you have a great start to the school year. Jay, thanks so much for joining us on this Labor Day weekend.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That's psychologist Jay Olson from the University of Toronto.